Hi everyone, this is Corey Bright with the Open Way, theopenway.org. And aside from including all the identities and images and concepts of ourselves, what the heck is this? What's going on here? Is it an identity moving through time? But what does that arise in? And these are all questions in the story, of course. But if we apparently look directly, we're going to see a whole different dynamic, so to speak, than the one that appears to be the one that we are living out of. The one that we are living out of still continues as is. Seems to be a shift in orientation, a shift to the unknown, present awareness, which is uncontrollable and just arises as is. There's some people getting into the car next to me, so you might be able to hear that. I'm in the parking lot of a church in Berkeley where we do our gatherings. Not sure if I mentioned that. So it's all love, isn't it? They have their own ideology and they come here and they're drawn out of connection and love and a yearning. And that's why I do embrace all the angles, especially non-dual oriented, that I've been nurtured along the way on my journey. It all is what it is, even within the story. And there's a sense of liberation even in the story. But it is a story, and the direct, radical attention can make it extraordinarily obvious what this is, not to be named as a concept, but it just becomes predominant and obvious. And that's remarkable. It's almost like a reset, a childlike, raw reset of presence and wonder and awe that essentially is not operating out of the learned identity. And yet all that still can arise, all that still arises. But this has been alluded to in so many groups that I've shared along the way. And in the relative story, it's all perfect. It is just this. And there's nothing one can actually do, which is kind of bizarre, but the play goes on. We share, we love. And if it's shared relatively to be nurtured and liberated, that's how it arises and that's how it's embraced here. But the gift, the real gift that I've noticed seems to be a kind of resonance and a tuning in. That's when all of a sudden it feels like a shift, a reorientation, which in the dream would feel like it's for someone, but it actually is, just arises. And when that gift, when that shift or that reorientation arises, it's palpably obvious. It's kind of funny in a way. There's a still point, and then you could kind of feel all the stories around you. It's remarkable. Now, the ego, so to speak, has a great vested interest in the identity, and so it's blinded. But even the identity wants to look and see for itself what this is. It can be drawn toward this. But the tuning in, the visceral obviousness of this can apparently hit. And so that's what I'm about here. I'm about sharing about this love of existence in this way. You could call it non-duality or whatever. And an open space to tune in and feel this where two or more are gathered in a very palpable way. You guys all know the difference between looking at this conceptually and all of a sudden it becoming obvious and palpable. There seems to be an art to that as well, although there really isn't. It's like an art of tuning in, a receptivity, taking a breath, a resting and a noticing in the story of what this is. There's such a vested interest with the identity to keep it going on that level. And there seems to be a veil. And from the top down, seeing, there's nobody, it's really, nobody can see this, because that person that is looking to reorient isn't even essentially there. Let's put it that way. The play is beyond the idea of the self. The actuality, the still point, is just this as they share. It's just this. So any movement to try to get this is just how it's arising as this, the story. And yet, seemingly ironically, I still share, or it arises that it is shared. However, it's nurturing to, even in the story of the dream, to loosen the sense of identity. I think that still has its place, and it just is what it is anyway. It'll arise that way, and that's fine. So liberation within the dream, and just the miracle of this, where there's no movement, nowhere to go, nothing you can actually do, where it just miraculously, I guess, becomes apparent that the idea of anyone that is going to do something within this, it just isn't there. It just has no power, so to speak, and there's no one there to have the power. So that, when deeply felt, let's say, can feel, even for the character that's not bought into, that it's clear and obvious, it doesn't exist in that way, it still can move through extraordinarily liberated, because it's just this immediately, and that's ultimate, if I could use that word, freedom and liberation there. Wow, how remarkable. How remarkable. This reality that we try to box in and try to know it, what it is, can't be known. And yet the appearances are here in all its glory, in all its fullness and aliveness. And then it appears in this aliveness that there's stories and automatons playing out their roles. And you know something? I feel like, and that is what is, and that is the beautiful dance of this relative reality. I mean, we get to experience that. And it's a story. Some people say, yes, it's God experiencing himself through the relative. And I think that's great. That's beautiful. What a gift, right? This lifetime. Yes, all the hardships and everything involved as well. It's a gift, though, of presence. And let's appreciate that when we're contracted and going through life mechanically. Just take a breath and see that we're gifted, and see that it's all just arising in this immediacy. Within the dream, that can be extraordinarily liberating for the character. One is no longer the obstacle of oneself, even within the dream. Moves and flows. And I noticed even within the dream, all kinds of insight and clarity arises when the contracted sense of self is not the core MO, the core operating system. So, okay, that's the sharing here, a little bit story times. I share differently at different times. Sometimes, like I said at the beginning, it all is this anyway. And the beauty is this immediacy, which is just clear and sees through the stories, even the stories of liberation. And yet it's so nurturing in the journey and my apparent journey. I still embrace all that. Embrace talking about this because it's just fascinating how it unfolds. Embrace tuning in, even if there's a subtle character there that sees what's going on and in the dream feels liberated. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And then, I don't know what to say about the very direct teachings, because to default to someone doing something about it, it's just, we don't know. It just arises in this immediacy. So gatherings arise, and, any movement to say there's a cause and effect in any way is seen through. It's remarkable. And then words like nothingness come up, and stillness, and that's tricky for the mind to handle, because it seems like it's trying to have a doctrine of nothingness and whatnot, but the words can't capture it in that way. But something miraculously can resonate energetically. It just plays out that way. Gatherings happen. So do you see in my sharing how tuning in to different frequencies, resonances, and explaining from different angles can arise? And there's no landing anywhere with that here. It's just the beauty of the tuning in and the perception and the liberation of it, whatever you call that liberation, relative, ultimate, or just everything liberated as is, already liberation. And as I speak here, it's like it's almost seen, not almost, it's seen, but not by the person. The obviousness and the predominance, so to speak, of just this. So you're welcome to tune into our weekly gatherings someday. Someday, maybe this will become some kind of center, the Open Way Center for Spiritual and Non-Dual Awareness, because this moves from the heart, this moves from love. And it's known, essentially, this is what's longed for. This is what we love to love. And however it plays out and trickles down in the dream, that's absolutely fine with me. I love the love where two or more are gathered. And a shift in an obviousness, a trust, a surrender, you could call it. It's not even any of that. But it's beautiful to tune in together. What a gift in this life journey for it to flow through that way. And of course, there's apparent practical benefits. There's bonuses, there's side effects as the character moves through and how the story appears to unfold. So I don't know. I'm in different modes at different times. I'm just open, hence the open way. And no landing anywhere, just tuning in. Maybe that's a motto. A mission statement somehow for the open way is just openness and tuning in and receptivity and availableness and a love. Love is such a powerful word, not the relative love. Just this deep relief that is felt as this love, as is felt as when seeing through boundaries and also embracing the apparent boundaries is seen clearly. Okay, so stay tuned, and we have some amazing speakers, and I look forward to the interactive. I don't consider myself I don't know. I have to be in the mode to speak clearly as this, so to speak. And it moves through in different ways here. And you could feel when it hits here. It comes in waves. And I look forward to sharing as that. And in the groups and Facebook Live, YouTube Live, etc. Much love. What a gift. This is Corey Bright with The Open Way, theopenway.org. And I just have to mention, and I got to figure out how to put this out there. Donations are welcome, and maybe this will grow into a center, and those centers will be duplicated. That's kind of my goal now in the story. At this phase of life, it's opening up to have attention in this direction, and I love it. It's just an extension of the passion and the love and who we are. I mean, nothing better. And I know that's why so many of you just love extending this and sharing this in this way. So let's see if that movement, can get going. And so at the various gatherings or whenever you want, I'll ask for donations. I'm not adept at any of this stuff yet, so I'll try to put it where I can. And I'll just mention it now, just PayPal for now. If you want to support these gatherings or potential center, you can PayPal me. And I have another more direct area of PayPal, but for now you could PayPal at my email, which is EatSnap. It's hard to understand. It's 3 E's, EEE, T as in Tom, Z as in Zoo, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, B as in Boy. EatSnap at AOL.com. Be free to donate. No, it just unfolds how it is. Nothing's mandatory. And I do look to offer this all on a donation basis. So, okay, thanks, Corey Bright, The Open Way, theopenway.org.